This is episode number
Eight
of the podcast.
Yep. Welcome. Got a great guest today.
We've got a great guest today.
Man.
Ladies and gentlemen, theys and thems, non-binary pals, please welcome GREGNWMN to the podcast.
Hey,
sir.
Episode 8 of Can I Borrow Your Amp podcast.
Peace. What's up?
Greg,
What's up?
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
What do you, I mean?
Greg's a musician.
He's off the
He's an artist, great rapper.
Would you describe yourself as a rapper or just like a musician or artist?
I would say that, like, man, I would just say definitely like a recording artist, performing artist.
Yeah.
That happens to right now, like, really lean into like alt rap, like alternative stuff. But at the same time, it's just like the purity of it can't be understated. You know, I think everyone kind of like has this thing of like, oh, it's rap, until until it works.
Yeah.
And then when it works, it's like, oh no, we love it. And it's like, oh, okay, for sure. But when no one cared, it was just like, it was whatever.
I was a little bit thrown off, admittedly, right now when you said that it was like alternative. I'm like, what do you think about?
Yeah, I like your music particularly because it is kind of like genre bending. Like it's not like it's something you put your finger on and like call it one thing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I think it's because like, you're kind of the sum of whatever you intake, and I have a lot of like range of music that I listen to that I really, really enjoy, and I think because of that, it just radiates in like maybe the words being used, or maybe the flows being executed, or maybe like the production choice. Like there's certain instruments that will stand out to me that like make me feel like, okay, this executes, or this cuts through really well, and I think things like that surprise me the most. And when I'm surprised, especially in this very like overstimulating market that we're in right now, when something cuts through and actually like impresses me, I'm like, yo, that guitar riff is crazy.
Yeah.
Like once I hear something, I'm like, okay, this is insane. I have to.
It really does. Like
for sure.
I think music today it really is required. I mean, always, right? It always is, but especially in today's day and age when everything is so readily available at your fingertips, it really requires people that are creating to really create something worthwhile. And like everyone as artists, we're all like just like an amalgamation of like the synthesis of everything that we've kind of like gathered and culminated through our experiences, musical or otherwise, or whatever it is, whatever medium you're in. What?
It's very philosophical.
I know.
He really
we'll leave it to Greg to make me sound very.
He really went in. I mean, we're like sub 5 minutes, and you're just going crazy right now.
I know. I'm sorry.
Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. What I mean to say is like it's not unique of like any particular artist to be, like I said, like synthesizing everything that's led up to their experiences to that point, to the point of like conception of whatever they're creating. Like that's not unique. That's what everybody does.
Right.
But it's like whatever you're putting out has to be so unique to you. It has to have all of those experiences and all those things that, you might share with other people, but it has to be your specific blend that has to like hit that mark that's going to like touch people in a very specific and special way that like so many people are like, yes, that's the thing.
I agree. I mean, there's something that like, for me personally, that's why when I find something that I really enjoy in a very deep way, like I lean on it as a writer. And I think I'm thinking from like maybe a more linguistic space. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this production's already telling an amazing story.
Yeah.
And I'm working on, getting into elements of production. Like that's where I want to go. Like, and I think that would be a really fun place to explore. Right now, it's just a matter of like finding the time or really making the time, for to be honest,
It's so hard, bro.
It's one of those things where I think it's really interesting and very exciting when I always see like very skilled like friends just like crank something out and it sound amazing, and I'm like, yo, like I know this is 10,000 hours, but I would love to take a swing at this. So for me, coming from a place where I really just started kind of like writing first and then leaning into, okay, if my instrument's my voice, then at that point, how can I bend it and tune it and adapt it to be able to kind of add to the story that's already being told on the production.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And instead of like, I think maybe some people would be like, oh, I'm the voice, so I gotta take this entire thing. But it's like a song ultimately has elements of a band in it, you know? So it's like, I just want to be a component of this record and not necessarily like overbearingly say, hey, I'm here. I'm
This
here.
is
I'm
all
here.
me. It's all
This is all me, you know, because I think there's elements that, you know, you don't know why people are pulling up to the record. You don't know why people are pulling up to enjoy or what they're pulling up to enjoy exactly, you know? So it could just be the production. There's a lot of people who really don't care about like the lyrics,
Yeah.
you know, and they're just
Yeah.
kind of there for the vibe, or maybe this would be a very
melody or
good,
something,
just
yeah.
the melody, the top line. Like people are just there for different reasons. And so I kind of have to take everything like at an objective level and say, okay, that doesn't mean I don't do the best that I can do to like present myself on a record and have that sonic fingerprint. But like, it's very important for me to also extract the highest resonance out of what I'm being given, you know? So I think having that focus going in has really like helped me refine and like try to kill every verse that I just
Right.
wrote with the next one. I'm like, okay, that was cool, but like I need to erase that other one. Like,
So what does that look like for you? Like I'm admittedly I'm not really like privy to your whole process and what it looks like a song, a full Greg Newman song looks like from start to finish. I'm wondering like because I think I really enjoy the production of your beats and stuff like that, but I'm honestly not sure if they're like if it's a lot of sampling or if it's or if you're recording live instruments or if you're taking like if you have like some packs that you have and like you've recorded or how, like what does that typically look like if you're even able to answer that question?
for sure. I appreciate you asking. I mean, it's really like a medley of things. I think
Sure.
my process is very, at least right now, it's like very insular. Like I'm very like there's like a cool story about like Missy Elliott just like taking beats from like Timbaland and like writing like Work It and other records like by herself. She'll take them and she'll just go on a run by herself because she was kind of too embarrassed to be talking about what she was talking about, you know, on these records and have
It's
all this.
very personal.
It's very personal, but having like this level 11 out of 10 charisma,
Yeah.
you know, and just be, you know, just a standout element of this entire record. And she wrote it, you know, in solitude. And I think it was interesting because without me kind of putting words to it, I had already been doing that. Like sometimes I feel as though people kind of jump in and they work in environments that may not be the most conducive for work.
Right.
I think a lot of times, like a lot of the situations that I've been in have been like more social and more like, hey, let's create the best record we possibly can thing, you know? And that's fine. I mean, I think everyone's there to kind of tune in or tap into whatever highest frequency is going to make them perform the best.
Sure.
Some people perform better in those social situations.
Yeah.
I can definitely say that like I work better when I can kind of just get in my weird, like try 10 different lines and then like the 11th will be the first,
Sure.
you know? And then because I feel like I'm not wasting anyone's time because that's another thing is that like,
because you can really take the time to pursue things.
like I have friends that are just like aliens that are like great at what they do and they'll just like make some crazy shit in 10 minutes and then they'll look at me like, okay, like you do
it.
you do it, you know? And like I can make something like as quickly as anybody, but at the same time, like, will it have, you know, the impact that I want it to have, you know, like, will I have to go back and just like, I mean, going back and re-editing ideas is just a natural part of the process. But if I'm not excited from like the first or the second pass, then it's kind of like, all right, you know, like I'm less motivated. So for me, it's like, I'll get, you know, packs from friends, you know, I'll get, and this is kind of like not maybe the most, I guess, attractive way of like sourcing production, but like a lot of the stuff that I've actually gone over or like worked over has been like YouTube type beats.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like,
fuck it.
Like it's funny because there was a period of time, and this is like years ago.
YouTube type beats.
It's funny, man. It's like it's actually funny. Like it's interesting because like I'll go like, and this started back in like maybe, man, like 2016, 2015, 2017 for sure. Like just I was around friends that like that were producing stuff, but at the same time they had like a bunch of other things going on, and just me not necessarily having the confidence to reach out, or honestly, I think it was actually like a money thing. I think a lot of times like I couldn't afford to pay them what I wanted to pay them.
Yeah.
You know,
it's definitely the best source of like free beats and
Yeah,
free music
like-
to go over. It's like you can find anything on there. And it's
I've
all
definitely
free.
I'll like solo over if like I need to work on a chord change.
Yeah, like play
soloing
black
over
tracks
chord
or,
changes. There's like things on YouTube that you can
backing tracks.
find. There's an app called iRealPro.com or something like that it's like a paid app where you can like put in chords and stuff like that, and I'll like just put that in if I just need to I'm not gonna like write a song to practice to, you know.
Right, and I think that's something that like, and again, it was a balance. Like for some, I mean, for some friends, it was like, I would say like, some friends, it was like I would, you know, I'll definitely break them off and make sure they're getting comps. And I've always been that way from the jump. Like, I'm not interested in just like, yo, bro, favor for favor. Like, I feel like that's just like, for me personally, that's just too loose.
Yeah.
And I don't think every favor, you know, is
out,
I don't think every favor is valued, you know, equally. You know,
Yeah,
so
100%.
like it's just like a lot of things are like temporal. You know, sometimes favors are bigger in one moment than they are in the next for the next person. So like,
For sure.
I don't want to get caught up in like the whole like that's not really, you owe me two of them shits. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't want to really be caught in that. So from the jump, I was like, hey, like I want to make sure that all my friends are compensated because they're all great. And this is in an environment where they weren't getting paid for other stuff. And I'm like, look, if I have to, you know, take a little bit of whatever I'm making from, you know, whatever day job I'm working at the moment, then at that point I'm willing to do that because you're worth that. And on top of that, use what we're building as a case study to add to your resume.
Yeah.
So then you can turn around to other people and tax them and be like, yo, see what I just made with so-and-so? Like, this is something that we can use to be able to go and run it up with other people.
Exactly.
You know, and then use that as leverage. So I kind of wanted to have that approach. But another note is that not only on the economical side of things, but there was also certain type beats out there that would just be different from what your friends could make.
Yeah,
and
right.
so because of that, I was finding like, I've told some friends this, but like, I'm like a professional. I don't do it as much anymore.
Hey, no disclaimers. Let's hear it.
Yeah. I'm a professional like YouTube beat dumpster diver. I've literally like I'll go to someone's, you know, page or whatever, and I'm like 300 weeks like back. I'm like, what do you?
What
I'm
did
like,
you make like
I'm
years
like,
ago?
I'm like 300, maybe not weeks, maybe that's overstatement. Maybe like 300 beats back, and I'm like, okay, like what? I'll just keep going. You know what I mean? I'll just keep going and see, okay, what sticks out to me, and I'll make a list and I'll see, okay, are these affordable? Are these not? How much can I afford right now? Because like if I'm feeling something, it's a very urgent, like right now kind of thing. And so I would want to pick it up.
Yeah, because
it's like you're going to like a thrift store and you're like,
bro,
looking for
it's like
you're like
there's a lot out here. You know what I mean?
You're
There's
like
a lot out here.
electronic crate digging.
Yeah,
bro, it's crazy because then like people wouldn't know, but like that's my focus is that like, okay, cool, we're taking these YouTube type beats, but like my main focus after getting them is like, okay, now time to pull these fully into my world.
Yeah,
where it's not even recognizable that it even came.
Have you like used like a YouTube beat and like put it on a song before?
Bro, you want to know something crazy?
Yeah.
And this is something that I think may be like a like an exclusive, I think, to this pod.
Yeah.
Right?
Fair.
Yeah. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I'm interested.
Solar Flare.
I thought you were
I was
gonna say
literally
that.
thinking that in my head, but I was like, no, like don't make that
Solar
joke.
Flare. Yeah, I was like Solar Flare. So tell us about that.
Solar Flare, like Solar Flare.
Is it a YouTube beat?
Is a YouTube type beat, bro.
Bro, that's
so funny.
crazy.
It's a sick beat.
It is a great beat.
It's a phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
So I was gonna ask you,
Easy.
like if you find beats like this that you really like on YouTube, do you ever like want to reach out to the people that made them and like want to work closer to them? Like maybe they can tailor something more to you, or are you more interested in just finding like these pre-made things?
Yeah, I mean that would be the ideal scenario. I mean, I think for this specific thing, I mean, I found a lot of production that I really liked, and I did have ideas of like deepening that relationship, but at the same time, a lot of the brand felt like a very marketplace kind of feel, as opposed
On
to
that
something.
page, whoever was putting that out.
As opposed to something that he was like personalizing,
Right.
you know, with people.
So he just had some dope shit on there, and you're like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I just realized this is the barrier entry. Like, you know, it's like, okay, I'm seeing people in these comments like type verses out to every one of these shit. So it's like, as much as I want to take the amount of energy.
Why would you put out your shit like that? On a
I mean,
YouTube
people are inspired and they just want to like, you know, do their. I mean, maybe they don't have any career that they're even trying to build. Maybe they're just like, yo, I just
Fucking
want
around.
to. Yeah, for sure. Like, people used to type on like message boards and stuff like back in the day. So like,
that's
like
true.
battle rap and shit. So like from there, you know, people are, you know, commenting all the time and they're like showing off their, you know, whatever comes to mind and stuff. So I'm like, look, the barrier of entry for me to reach out to this producer who's been doing this for years, you know, getting, you know, email inbox sauced by people asking, you know, so it's
True.
So as much as I would like to, you know, as much as an email would convey the message that of like, hey, I may be somebody, you know, you'd want to deepen a relationship with.
Yeah.
Maybe the work will. Maybe, you know, he turns around and then, or he or she or they turn around and then like, it's like, oh, something of mine has more plays than the OG production.
Right,
and it's
than
just
the beat itself.
and it's just out there.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
it's like holy shit. Like this is crazy. And kind of like my main focus, especially when working with other people and over people's stuff, and this is on like the visual side, this is on the audio side, this is on like every side. Like it's just I want to honor the people who are collaborating with me by taking it way further than they had ever anticipated a random whoever artist X to take it.
Yeah,
Sure.
You know,
that's
because
cool.
I think that's something that people don't. I mean, I like surprising people. I just think the world is very boring and very like there's just so much going on and not a lot of stuff cuts through. And I just want to say, okay, cool. Like, let's shoot this music video. Let's just get it here, and then let's like take it to this other place, and let's get it in front of these people, and then you know we're gonna take it, and then we're gonna perform it, and then when we perform it, it's gonna feel like this, and this is gonna be the visuals behind it, and like
It has to be cohesive. Like all that stuff has to be like,
bro, build a world.
yeah.
Like just like instead of like there's like, and I was having this conversation recently, and it was like there's like kind of two kinds of artists right now, and there's artists who are like, you know, building a planet and being like, yo, you can come into orbit, you can like check and kind of like probe to see if you like what we're doing here, and then like if you really like it, you can kind of beam down and check it out for a little bit, and then you can take off, or if you like really like it, you can stay. It's just a matter of like having enough abundance on the face of that planet and having enough around the project and enough brand identity to like have people actually want to stick around, you know, as opposed to like, you know, taking off, you know, immediately. And then you have the other like type of person or type of artist who's like link in bio, you know, and it's like I think like with 60 to 70K people dropping a day on DSPs, it's kind of like, what's the incentive of, you know, people? I mean, the highest commodity or currency that we have is time.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, why would someone, you know, burn their highest level commodity on you just because you're you, or like, so I want to kind of create incentive, not only for like the collaborators, but at the same time, I want to create incentive for like the listeners too, and have them have this like very high fidelity experience, you know? And so it's just, whether it's hip hop, whether it's whatever, like the first impression means a lot, whether it's literally a conversation like this and someone's like, oh, I had never heard of such and such until this conversation, let me go check out the music. And then they're like blown away by something, like that's the point. Or like they're just finding me on some like algorithmic shit. Then it's like, okay, cool. Like, who is this person? Or like, maybe it's just like a live performance, you know, and like, oh, I've never heard of so-and-so. And then they go, and then everything is like curated, everything is branded, everything is intentional, you know, and like that's not every artist's like focal. And I understand it's not every artist's approach, but like that's what I like think of when I'm like, okay, cool. It's a tight beat right now. But when I pull this into my world, it's going to be unrecognizably ours.
And that's kind of like
so.
you see people kind of like running into that problem with like, you know, like whatever, like stolen beats, or like you see like the Pharrell with the Marvin Gaye stuff, and how it's like people kind of, you chewing ice in the mic?
No, not chewing ice. Sorry, everybody.
No, you're good. I think people are gonna like that.
No, it's all good.
But you know what I mean? Like with the what was that song? What was that Marvin Gaye track with the
Blurred Lines?
Blurred Lines, yeah, with Pharrell and what's his name? Robin Thicke.
I'm not even familiar. Like I saw a headline about that, but like, what happened with that? Like, I don't know.
It was a groove issue.
They sound the same. They do sound very similar.
Not the same though.
songs.
They're different enough to where it's like, how are you gonna like I think it's a little ridiculous.
I agree. But they do sound similar.
Yeah, they sound similar enough, but it's also like they kind of made it into their own thing where it's like
there's a lot of songs that sound similar.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's you know,
what does it matter?
If you put out something into the world and then someone takes that and synthesizes it into their own thing, and kind of makes it. It's like the evolution of hip hop, especially in the '90s, how people were sampling things and like sampling funk drums and like isolating everything and making their own beats with it. It's like, how are you gonna say that that's anything close to what the original thing was?
It's tough, man, because like it's very tough because it just sounds like very, I guess, like weird to say, I guess, but like I tweeted this thing the other day and it was like rap is open source.
Yeah.
And like it's like code.
Yeah.
Like it's like an open source code that like people have built upon to like highlight and kind of score their life.
Yeah.
Like
right.
people are kind of like, I'm listening to this album, I have never touched what they're talking about on this record. I don't, I'm not in my Second Amendment bag, I don't like, but at the same time, like this music makes me feel powerful or makes me feel like untouchable or makes me feel like it switches my mood in a way that like talks to me deeply. And like, I think music inherently, I mean, rap being like a sub bullet of music, it's like, music is open source, and I think we're just going to continuously build upon it. But if we were to like kind of go to like the root like I guess source domain of that idea, and it's just like music is just like an expansion of just like vibration and sound. And like if you think about our voices, like the original open source thing, I think was like stories, like when you would share stories between each other,
and add little things, take little things out.
And it's just like it's like that game of telephone, right?
Yeah.
But it's like so we're kind of trying to copyright stories in a way. So it's like it's very difficult, and I think there's a lot of legislation and things like that are out there that are trying to kind of commodify and inject a level of economy into those things. But I just think it's such a difficult thing to stop.
Yeah.
Because there are so many options and so many ways to like bend things. And it really kind of changes the way people view, interpolations that sound similar, chord progressions, chord changes, riffs, like even like lyrics. Like it's like, okay, is that half of so-and-so's bar? Like even like flows, like on some like rap artist shit. It's like, oh, is so-and-so using my flow in this? But it's like, it's like, but it's like the same time, it's like
how are you gonna copyright a quarter note triplet?
There's only
it's
only
tough,
so
man.
many
It's
options
tough.
you have. You only have
Exactly.
12 notes. Like
it's a lot. So I think people kind of like are everybody wants to be special, and I think that's important because I think we all should reach to be special, but we should actually reach though, like in terms of like we have to break things, and I think that's one thing that I'm very interested in is like I'm like, okay, cool, this like approach is fine so far, but like I want to make music that's challenging.
right.
Because like it's like, oh, this is very raw, or this is like very this, or your voice is kind of whatever, and like I like that. I like that because it's like, it's challenging. It's forcing you, not forcing you, but or it's like it's not by force, but it's of force.
That's taking you out of your comfort zone, kind of.
Yeah,
too, like or out of your.
I mean, and it's like it's for the right person at the right time. Like when the right person hears the right record at the right time, like it's supposed to.
It hits.
It's supposed to hit. Like I had Solar Flare in mind, like driving home.
I love that song.
Thank you, bro. Yeah.
Pause if you haven't listened to Greg. Pause the podcast right now. Go listen to Solar Flare at the very least.
Right.
Follow Greg on Spotify or Apple Music, whatever you're doing. Then,
And Instagram. He's a great Instagram follow too.
Oh man,
we'll
gotta get to that.
We'll get to his handle at the end. He'll plug all that stuff.
Yeah.
Go
Well, we
listen to at
also
least
got-
a couple
go ahead,
songs. Come back. Go ahead, Wyatt.
I was like, we got to get to your Instagram content because it's very motivational and weightlifty.
Yes.
And
It's very
Damn.
sexy.
We got-
Highly sexual.
good
Man,
follow.
I never talked to anybody about the gram, so that's crazy. I'm interested to hear about like that's wild because I really I don't put crazy thought, but I'm just like, man, what would I like to see?
No, it's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's very branded content. Like your posts always are like, I'm like, yeah, that's a Greg post for sure.
When you post like your like to-do list for the day,
Yeah.
and like you being all organized like that, like have you always been like that, or is that something kind of like
I had to build into it.
Yeah.
I had to really build into it because I'm like, you know, my mentality, at least right now, especially because there's been so much change in my life. I feel like, and I mean, very like healthy change. You know, like
Yeah.
there's been a lot of healthy change in my life. So I would say that I just I kind of want to roll with I want to roll, and I am rolling with the mentality of, you know, your life can change in 6 months. It's up to you.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just like it's the top of the year. Like we just exited Q1. Like we can go like depending upon how
There's
crazy,
so much left.
bro. Like depending upon how crazy you go, like you could really change everything.
Shit could change. It's
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah,
how
you,
much could
you
change.
can really change everything. But my main thing with the list, like to answer your question, is like it starts for me like outside of music. So as much as I like want to be like crazily unhealthy, but like a savant at the music thing, I'm trying to take like a kind of a different approach of like, what if I riv it down and make every other component around music airtight and then get to the music and see if I can like make this sustainable. So when we have 300 plus dates in 1 year to go tour and like take over the world,
Yeah.
you know, then at that point it's like, you know, we're not.
You're ready for it already.
Yeah, we're not burnt out by like the 150th show because we're not doing the proper preventative maintenance on like vocal treatment.
No,
and
I
shit,
fuck
you know
with
what
it.
I mean?
I love the like organization. I think that's super productive and bleeds over into music, whether it's for music or not. It still kind of helps you put everything or like, you know, manage the time for everything.
I will say this: when I skip, like when I feel like, oh, I don't think I have time for the gym today. One of the first things that pops in my mind is like, what would Greg say to this? Like, I do think that I'm like, I don't have time to go to work and do music and go to the gym, and I'm like,
It's a lot. It's more than most.
nah, Greg could do it.
Oh
Greg,
man.
Greg would be
Just think about
disappointed.
that checklist. Just think about that.
Yeah,
fucking
Greg.
list.
Yeah.
Greg, let's do it for Greg.
Oh, let's do it for. I mean, hey man, like. First of all, I don't advise anybody to try what I'm trying. I should probably put a disclaimer like every morning. I should just be like, don't try anything you're gonna see right here at all.
Well,
like,
something's got to be missing. Like how many hours of sleep do you get a night?
I mean, so here's the main thing for me, and this is kind of like also something I've told like some closer friends, but like, you know, more than comfortable talking about it here, is that like the list is a guideline.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no like hard, you know, if you don't get to every single thing on this checklist, you failed kind of thing. You know, like it's a guideline of like, okay, let me oversauce this. So if I get to all these, you are like one of the most productive, crazy, like, you know, it's just like you're really getting to it.
Yeah.
But
if you hit a few of the bullet points, you still had a productive.
Yeah, if I get 80%, like if I get 85%, it's like you still crushed it.
Yeah.
Like you went crazy. And I think it's me also kind of learning how to be more gentle with myself because I'm very, very like hard on myself, you know, and like, I'm very hard on myself. And I think it's made amazing things, you know, it's made amazing things happen, and like certain circumstances kind of like present themselves unexpectedly, you know, and I kind of like, but I'm learning how to be more present these days, you know, and like usually I have like both feet in the future because I'm always like, I'm like, at least of the mentality of like, yo, what's the bleeding edge? Like what's the thing that, not that I have any entitlement over the future, you know, it's just more of like I want to like diversify. I don't necessarily, because rap is so, again, open source that like everybody thinks, and everyone can rap. Everyone can literally rap.
Even
you
me?
know? Yeah, no, everybody. Literally, every yeah, I'm saying like you could, bro, I would definitely open the space for you
I'll
to
pull
go.
up YouTube right now.
Bro, I would open the space for you to go crazy. Don't make us do it, bro.
Hey, come on. Don't make us do it right now.
Yeah, so it's crazy. It's crazy because like don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, so it's funny because I do feel like because rap is so open source, like the barrier for entry for rap is much lower than the barrier of entry for an upright bass. You know what I mean? It's like, and this is what differentiates like rap and hip hop being regarded as a fine art, which it is. There are certain spaces of this craft, and this is really any craft, right? There's someone who just picked up a guitar and they're on day one, and it's like, do they play guitar? Well, technically, yes.
Yeah.
Technically, they play guitar.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have people who really understand all the technicalities and doing hammer-ons and hammer-offs and doing all these other like more technical things. And it's
within
like
their first week, getting all that like pretty easy.
Yeah, for sure. So it's like there's things that then there's nuance that, you know, you can tell someone who's been playing for 5, 10 years, et cetera, like, you know, that's a fine art, you know, and I think there's all components. There's levels of fine art mastery within every component of art. It's just a matter of like reaching for that, even in the rudimentary phases, you know? So like, I don't necessarily have like an album out. I don't have like these other like large components that people would consider like the substrates of like mastery, but it's like, okay, cool. Like, how do I end up implementing like flow patterns, technicality, enunciation, metaphor, linguistics, storytelling, production choice, selecting the proper features, like selecting like arrangement of projects, you know, things like that. Rebranding what it's like to move as a hip hop artist in the space. Do you move like a typical person? You know, are you motivating people, but at the same time, are you motivating people in like this very like archetypical way? Are you doing it and having like your own spin to it, where you're not like directly telling people like you can do anything you want? I think everyone knows that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, everyone knows that. It's just more of like my approach as of late has been more like show people.
Like be a little more specific.
Yeah, like
you know?
your medium is words. So
Yeah.
what you don't need to tell people is more words. What
Yeah.
you need to show people is just
Action.
action.
Yeah.
You know, and just do it. So I think that's kind of been my like very complicated numerator. Like I just take everything and divide it by 0. And for me as an overthinker, I need to be more present by making things very simple. So I just divide everything by 0, and I'm just like, okay, can I do this or can I not?
What do you mean when you say divide by 0?
What I mean is that like I just take things that I would normally overthink, like, and just say, okay, you know, my computer went down. I'm borrowing my friend's computer to try to track and just lay down some ideas. And it's a DAW that I'm unfamiliar with. Instead of like wrapping my head around like the uncomfortability of it, like me not necessarily like feeling comfortable with like, oh, I kind of tried to not borrow this person's computer, and they like, dude, like just take it and just go. And so the things that I would normally overthink about that situation is just like, let me just dive into these tutorials and learn this DAW like anybody and just fucking go.
Just figuring it out rather than
just go. Like just go, you know, and like I think every time I've just decided to just drop things and go, it's led to like the harder I work, the luckier I get. So that's like really kind of the premise of like the list. And I appreciate, you know, you taking the time to go through that, because like I really do kind of have a certain like formula with the stories that I really like. I'm like, okay, so we can't have, you know, tweets back to back because we just too many words. We need imagery. We need to cut
the
it.
algorithm will fuck you on that.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, you know, I just want it to be like not like boring. Like there's a lot of shit that's just boring.
It's definitely anything but boring.
Really?
I can tell you that. Yeah,
bro. Thank you, man. Thank you. I put a little bit of intention into that, but that's my piece. I mean, Instagram's fun, you know.
That's your Instagram is your piece.
I mean, no,
that's his pieces. Like that's his
approach.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I was like, social media gives me extreme anxiety, so I can't imagine it being your piece.
I'm very, you know, I'm more of an IRL guy. I'm definitely more of like a in-person type person, and I think people may not expect that just based on like maybe the scarcity of like how I present myself, but at the same time, like I'm. You know, I think I'm low maintenance. I don't really.
Do you?
Are you like a? You guys hit me today, and I just pulled up. Like
I know.
That's what I was gonna say.
I mean? I'm
extremely easy to get a hold of. You.
I'm here. I just think people are just like, Greg's just, you know,
elusive.
I guess, but it's just like I'm just at home.
I will say it always. You present yourself online as someone that's always out there doing something. If you're not working out, you're at work. If you're not working, you're working on music. And if you're not doing that, you're, you know, on the road somewhere. You know, it is kind of like we do present ourselves as like, or you know, sometimes we present ourselves as people that are not to say that you do this, but like we're busier than we actually are. But it's because you want to appear busy so that you are a commodity. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, I hear that for sure. I think my goal has also been to like I'm like, man, okay, I have, if I'm getting my 8 hours, I got 16 hours like in the day, right? So it's like, okay, cool. You know, maybe, you know, for whatever artist, maybe they have some day job situation. Let's say in theory that takes up 8 hours a day. Okay, bet. Right. So now you have 8 hours to work with, right? So it's like, okay, cool. I want to take these 8 hours and make the most out of them, you know, that's already like a very slim amount of time. Like your time management has to be on like S tier to be
Yeah.
like,
I mean, really,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
To really like get in, like, okay, let's say you work out or whatever. It's like an hour and a half, maybe including the commute to wherever you're working out at, you know,
Yeah.
go home, take a shower, okay, cool. Now you have 6.5 hours left. It's like, all right, are we talking about like you're like that's not like calling your family. That's not like, you know, just like small thing like eating.
Little
Like,
thing,
Yeah, or
yeah,
just like
eating.
unwinding, or
you know,
just like
yeah,
taking a
like
second,
decompression, or like
yeah.
if you want to read, or if you want to like.
Yeah.
So the idea is like, it seems like, at least for me, I thought to myself like, do I want to be the quote unquote bad guy and look too busy, or am I just prioritizing things I think that everyone should be prioritizing? Not even everyone. Like it's not about everyone. Am I prioritizing things that I want to do?
Yeah.
And does it seem like, oh, Greg's just doing the most, or am I just? I feel like I'm doing the regular shit. And,
No, I mean, the things you're
and,
you're
like,
doing are the things that it
I don't
seems
think it's
like
too
you're doing.
crazy. Like
No, it seems very like productive, like healthy things to be doing. It's not like you're like going to like clubs or like going on like vacations and all these crazy things where it's like,
It's all
man, this
good
guy is
shit.
like well, like how is this guy able to do all this shit?
It's
Like,
more, yeah,
like,
it's more so from a place of just being like
I'm impressed he's doing all these
yeah,
things. Like
I wish
that's
that
like
I
what,
was doing these
Yeah,
things
yeah,
too.
like- Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that. And there's like a lot of life to live. Like
Definitely, yeah.
I think that's one thing that I realized. Like, you know, I wanna live like a lot of life, and I think I have this like insatiable like desire. I'm curious about like learning. Like I like learning stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and I just want to know things. And I think in a way, I just constantly have this like, okay, cool. I want to learn more externally, like maybe it's reading or podcasts or like, you know, like music stuff, like instrumentation stuff. Like I kind of do this thing where I like listen to like one album a day and I kind of like throw it on the story, like daily
that's
studies
cool.
kind of thing. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, and just kind of like go back and say like, okay, now that I have a more advanced ear than I have previously listened to this project, you know,
Yeah.
or maybe I'm diving into something new, then it's like maybe I'll find like levels of nuance that maybe like inform my process or could potentially be a ref down the line. Like,
sure.
you know, and then on top of that, like the bigger curiosity in terms of like learning things is like really kind of learning about myself. And that's where like a lot of the fitness and like the music shit kind of comes in. Is that like every time I, you know, write a verse or anytime I'm like building out a record or something like that or laying an idea down, it's like you are expressing your thoughts in real time and like adapting those thoughts and like sequencing those thoughts. So I see it as like a teacher like recording their lecture and then like going back and being like, okay, I didn't really explain that problem to the
Right.
best, you know? So it's like,
I was
it kind of refines it in a way, you know?
Definitely. I always think about it like when we record ourselves at rehearsal. Like I think about it like a football player like watching film or something like that. Where, like, you're like
yes.
recording
Yeah,
something
yeah,
and then
yeah,
you go
yeah,
back
yeah.
and you watch it and you're like, okay, like what does that look like? Or like
Yeah.
why did I do that? What was like
We
that?
should start
Or,
getting in the habit of just doing that like at every rehearsal, regardless of whether or
yeah.
not we think
I just
we're
store it on
ready.
my phone. I just like usually just like little things.
Yeah,
like
that's
that. Like,
true.
I think we all do that.
I mean, it helps.
I don't do that.
It
Oh,
helps.
oh,
No,
it
have you
helps.
did that last couple times?
I've done that since we've like
Really?
since we've been a band. Yeah.
Like every
I've, like,
rehearsal?
Maybe not every rehearsal, but pretty frequently. Yeah.
Wow, I did
Yeah.
not know that.
I've like recorded. Yeah.
How are we doing?
I probably have like really old
I would love to hear some of those.
rehearsals about. Sometimes I delete them. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I didn't like we messed up or something. We stopped halfway through and I just like delete that one. You know what I mean? Like
Because you don't want.
because it's like why does that need to exist?
That's not real.
Yeah, that's not real.
Yeah.
But yeah, not to cut you off, but I feel like that.
That's crazy.
That's good. It's like
I didn't
it's
know
like
that.
yeah.
I'm glad to know that. I would love to hear some of that stuff.
It's valuable,
Yeah.
man. Like it's really valuable to kind of like archive, you know, what your self-developmental processes are. And I think
Yeah.
that's one thing again that like I think has helped with a lot of the things I can't really explain in terms of like how like the career has been built up to this point. Like my only focus is just like high fidelity, like again, like I mentioned, like rap has a very low barrier to entry, but if I reach for like the fine art level of that craft, whatever it is, then you know, hopefully people see that effort and hopefully people see like, okay, you know, this is not only coming off the heels of this person's commitment to being an actual student of this space, but
Yeah.
like at the same time, like this is somebody I can also kind of look to outside of this shit. Like if I didn't even, you know, like I've had people who like don't even listen to like rap or hip hop and they're like, bro, like you know, I just fuck with you off the strength of like maybe it's the list or maybe it's like these other things, which I don't want to be like the list guy or I don't want to be like these other things.
It's
you know
not.
what I
It's
mean?
not like that. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
it's the whole vibe. It's the entirety. Of
yeah,
everything.
I don't really take anything like that. It's just more of like it's actually like I kind of like a lot of these things like very personal because like even before I started even posting the list, I still had it. Like it was still a thing. You know, I was just like, man, maybe on some like selfish accountability shit, if I throw it up, I feel like I'm incentivized to not double back on it.
Yeah,
you know what I
that's
mean?
for
Just
sure.
like no one would know if I didn't complete any. You know, so
now
like,
we're gonna check you for it. We're gonna be like, hey,
did you have your gallon of water today?
Yo, I'm really focused on, and especially as of late, like I'm really focused on like, man, maybe this could be like a storyboard opportunity where, and I did a pretty decent job today where it was like, okay, cool. I go through like, you know, post up the list or whatever, and then like I do a couple of those things, take a couple shots of that, you know, put it up, and then like post an updated version of that list in the middle of the day, and then go off and do some other shit. You know what I mean? And then maybe not hit everything, but like there's a lot of stuff that got done, and then people being like, oh fuck, like I could really be doing a lot with my time. And again, it's for me. Like I think that's one thing.
I garner a lot of it. I'll be looking at it as I'm wiping the McDonald's grease off my hands.
I mean, but that's dope because if it's on the list, it's like, bro, I checked that up.
I got the McDonald's.
You know, like McDonald's is on the list. You know what I mean? And it's like that's, you know, I mean, I don't see it as something that like other people would follow. But there's places I want to go, bro. Like I really see, and it's kind of like a beautiful thing because I think more so than ever, like I really believe in this shit, you know, and like I think maybe my seriousness and like this because I take life like very seriously, and I think that's kind of like what the basis of a lot of this shit is that like I mean life inherently is something, you know, take it as seriously as you want because it's like everyone's trying to figure out this thing called life, you know, so it's like. Everything matters and then like nothing matters in a way, you know.
So you could die tomorrow, you know.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, I do see the dichotomy in that. I just do think that like I just do want to take things in a very like serious kind of like format in terms of like maybe a serious love for life.
Yeah,
maybe that's what it is.
I feel it's not like it's like you want to take life seriously, but it's like you don't want to take yourself too seriously to the point where like you're
definitely not.
In this, like not down to earth or anything like that.
No, for sure.
So it's like it's kind of like that.
For sure. The one thing that scares me is that like having an artist you care about, and you're like, oh, I finally meet them, and they're like, they treat you in this crazy way,
right?
You know
they're completely on a different planet, or
bro.
Something like
it's and that's kind of like one of those things. Like again, like how would you move as your favorite artist? You know what I mean? Like if I went and I met Donald, you know what I mean, and I'm just like, whoa, that went super, you know, wild. Then at that point, like I would definitely be like, Brent.
Trump.
Oh, come on, bro.
I was like, what the
Oh, come on, bro.
I'm assuming Glover.
Yeah, come on,
I got it. I got it now. I got it now.
Oh my
god. I know I'm not the only person in the audience that
Donald
that thought that. Greg, I love the music. Solar Flare is one of my favorite songs.
Oh my! You know what's crazy is no one can see this, but your hand movements are so on point.
I'm doing the Donald hands. Okay.
Wow.
The Carter feature was nowhere near as good as the main verses.
Oh no!
Damn, bro.
No!
Shots
okay,
fired.
big boy, I see what you're doing.
Wow. Okay. Wow, that was fucking crazy. Yeah, that was so on point. Like, you should definitely run with that somewhere. Because like I think that was insane.
You like that?
But yeah, that was insane. But like
Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, fantastic artist in multiple mediums.
Man, that's really. I mean, for me, everyone kind of has different like North Stars when it comes to like the artistry and stuff like that. But I mean, I've definitely been an appreciator and like deep diver of Donald like before it was sexy to say it. Like it was it was very like like I am just a rapper 1, I'm just a rapper 2, like rapping over Grizzly.
So before like way before
like,
because of the
Grizzly
internet.
Bear, like when the Freaks and Geeks video dropped, I was just like no one, because I mean I'm coming from a place where like I'm like a very insulated kid, like who again played video games, was really into cars, was really into things that may not be archetypical for someone who looked like me, and on top of that, like it was like definitely a huge part of my upbringing where I'm like, there's not a lot of kids that are just into the obscure shit like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm like into tech and I'm into like these other things, you know, that like I can't just openly speak out about because I might get looked at crazy.
Sure.
So from that, it was just having somebody who's speaking on your behalf in a way, but like winning. Like I think that's the one thing as well. It's just like, okay, this person's like doing stuff and they just don't give a fuck. And like, and it kind of in that moment, it definitely inspired me to be like, oh, I want to learn how to not give a fuck too, because I care too much. And I was really kind of like moving growing up, a fear-based mentality and kind of in a fear-based way. And so once I really engaged with, you know, his story and on top of that, seeing the evolution of things, like when Camp dropped, like I had like a Gambino is a mastermind like merch shirt, like in 2011, like 12.
Damn.
Like there was a website, it was like his main blog website. It was called foreverchildish.com. And they had a competition when Heartbeat came out off of Camp. And it was like, yo, we're gonna take submissions and like the best artist that can cover Heartbeat, you know, is going to, you know, win this mystery prize, right? And so at this point in time, I think I was 19. I just moved out of like, you know, my parents' house in Coachella, and like and I was in Riverside. And basically I was like, yo, I don't play instruments. I can barely, at this point in time, I hadn't found my voice. I had only wrote stuff like that was like poems for me, like angsty Tumblr posts. Like there was nothing public. Like there was nothing public, like no artist name, nothing, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I wanna do this. Like I love this song. And so like I literally patted my hands like on my lap and just a cappella just like sang or attempted to sing. It'd probably be horrendous if I like rewatched it now, but like, you know, attempted to like sing Heartbeat, you know, and kind of like rapped it. And at the time, I don't know what social media it was on, but like I shared it and I was just like, yo, like one of those OG, like, yo, can you guys go vote for me so I can like go like
Sure.
win
Yeah,
this
hell
thing,
yeah,
you know?
bro.
And it was funny because the other performers were like, there was like a guy who did like a drum cover and there was other people
Jesus
doing like other
Christ.
crazy shit. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, there's no way. Like,
You're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna just do it.
there's no way. I mean, I was like, there's just no way. Like these other ones are fucking crazy. And then I ended up winning that shit.
What?
Bro, I ended up winning that shit. And I got like a download. I got like a fucking Bear Share fucking link where it was like 10 different like edits of like different producers flipping Heartbeat. And like I got this like downloaded album.
And you're the only one that got it?
Bro, I was the only one. And
You just had the most heart. You just
that's
had
an
the
NFT,
you just
bro.
had the
Bro,
most
it
The
heart
was-
to it.
original
Yeah.
NFT.
it was crazy. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I said you just had the most heart. You just brought the most heart to it.
It was
You were
this-
just like you didn't give a fuck.
Probably what he liked. He was just like, I just like that it's very unique and like
It was insane, bro. Like I was like like the Greg Newman like Instagram is like masquerading as this autonomous thing, but it's really a Donald Glover fan account.
yeah, right.
Like that's really what it is. I'm like building up the metrics, and then
He's
I'm just gonna
fucking
you know,
awesome.
and then I'm just gonna sell it. You know.
Have you seen him live?
Say it again.
Have you seen him live?
Bro, of course I've seen him live.
Yeah.
It was insane because even in that moment I like went like after like winning the competition and stuff and then like getting the MP3s, I was like, okay, like I'm just so into this world because again it was like he's building a planet. You know, so I'm actively investing in like dropping by, I'm in orbit, I like beam down and I'm just like chilling here and like I'm like, oh yeah, I could stay here for a while. You know, because it was like so much to kind of go off of when it came to like the Derek comedy stuff and all the other aspects of like what he was doing at the time.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like
I knew about him from Community first.
right, yeah, like the community stuff and like there was a EP he had called Cul-de-sac and like again I'm Just a Rapper 1, I'm Just a Rapper 2, Camp, you know, and then like EP obviously
Yeah,
and then like
Camp was the first like
bruh.
Camp Backpackers is on that.
Bruh.
That was my favorite shit.
Disgusting. LES, bro. Like it was just really disgusting. And it's like it was just so brave. And I think that's the main thing for me. It was just like, yo, there's this like person out there talking about stuff that I can relate to.
Yeah.
But it's just like brave and unapologetic. And I think that was like what really spoke to me. And from there, I really felt as though like that was the blueprint for the way I wanted to approach things. But even then, like small stuff, bro, like he got his name from like a Wu-Tang name generator.
I know,
right?
I know,
So
yeah.
so like I typed in like my actual like government name.
Yeah.
And like it came out Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
Like it was like those like things I could not have made up that I was like, yo, this is like this is dope. Like I'm meant to be. So anyway, fast forward to your question about seeing him live, because I get like super animated because he's just phenomenal.
It's
but
great.
like, but I ended up going, and this is like after, because the internet dropped and people were like, oh, you know, he may not rap again, and like we don't know what his new music's gonna sound like. And obviously this is like pre-Awaken My Love announcement days, right? But it's like one of those things where he had posted like, oh, this is like live performance. All he did was post this obscure, like pyramid looking logo, and it ended up being this thing called Pharaohs, right? And so I ended up seeing that, and I was like, obviously, like, you know, I'm in, you know. So I went ahead and I was like, okay, purchase whatever ticket. On top of that, like I lived and graduated high school out in Coachella Valley, like the desert, you know. So seeing it was gonna be in Joshua Tree, and it was
Easy
like,
enough.
yeah, it was like, okay, cool, like it's like the high desert. So
oh shit. Oh wait. Continue. And then
for sure.
We'll double back to my thought.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll just make it as concise as possible. So ultimately, I ended up going to, you know, this live performance, like this Pharaohs experience, and it was like very textured, and it was just it was exactly what I thought a well thought out, well intentioned, like he's just very intentional, and his team is very intentional.
Was he wearing
and that's why,
like
I
glow
think,
in the dark paint?
Yes.
At this,
Yes.
Alyssa was telling us about this.
Really?
Our good friend Alyssa Cornier, who we're gonna have on the podcast very, very soon,
Right.
was telling us about this when we went up to Yosemite to record. Our good friend was at this very concert where he's in like glow in the dark paint, and he's dancing and like doing the whole album, and
Yeah.
Was
So
this
you were there too?
This was for Awaken My Love too, right?
Yeah. This was like, I mean, and there's records there that definitely didn't like make the cut in terms of the project. There was like some like unreleased, unheard shit, you know, but like it was just a matter of like, this is what I mean by like the fine art aspect, and like the importance of reaching for things that people are too afraid to engage with just because it's like experimental. But like people don't understand that like life is a freestyle.
Yeah.
Like life is an experiment. You know, you want to have some level of like measurable risk in everything that you do.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, try it, you know. And so if you fail, you fail, and it's okay, because people are gonna be like, well, that's that obscure thing that no one has rocked with, so of course you'd fail. But like if you do it well, people are gonna be like, yo, what? Like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and I think it's worth it, you know, because if you go into something and you're like, anything that I've put 100% of my life force into, I've never failed.
Yeah.
You know, and you kind of reframe the way that you approach things in terms of like, yo, if I have kind of fallen short, it's because I really didn't put my entire being into it.
Yeah.
And then when you turn around, you're like, oh yeah, like I really did, you know, do this crazy, you know, one off. We recorded it. The beat came from YouTube, but we took it, we chopped it up, we stripped it down. There was a couple verses that were written, like a couple different arrangements. Boom, got the homie on it, and we put it out. And it was during one of like the most transitional times of my life, you know, and I was sleeping on my homie's couch and shit like that. And then boom, now it's like, you know, it's Solar Flare or whatever. But it's like one of those things where it's like, I put my entire being into that piece, you know, to try to change it. But it's like, there's certain things in life where, you know, you just like sandbagged it, and you were like, okay, I knew I didn't really kind of give a fuck about that. And that's, and if it didn't work out, it's like maybe disappointing in some capacity, but it's like,
learning.
it's like, you didn't really, you know, you didn't really see it through.
Half-hearted about it.
Yeah. So I say all that to say, to reroute back to like Pharaohs, it's like you walk up, it's very curated, it's very intentional. You go up, they do like the smart lock shit with like,
love that,
you know, the phone and stuff like that, you know.
I'm a fan of that.
Bro, it was the first time I had ever really had gone through anything like that. Like I had never been, you know, I wasn't really like a crazy concert person, you know. So going in and just being like, wait, we were standing outside of the security for like a smooth hour, bro. Like we were out there to the point where it was like, you couldn't really, you would lose your mind if you weren't like kind of talking to like maybe the group behind you
Yeah.
or the group around you. So it kind of forced you to be social in a way.
Oh, because you already don't have your phone.
Well, you have your phone, but it's like you're in Joshua
waiting.
Tree and there's like limited signal.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was just in this very obscure place. And what's interesting is like, it felt like a social experiment in a way. You know, it felt like, let's just put a bunch of people who are kind of down to commute an awkward distance for something they have no idea what's going on, to experience something that they have no idea what they're in for. How
many people were there? Would you guess?
Oh man, I mean, definitely a couple hundred, if not over. Like maybe
pretty light.
I mean, maybe the dome was really big, so maybe there could have been maybe just sub 1,000 perhaps.
Okay.
But like I will say that like when we were out there for an hour, you know, just chilling, and then we went like through security, and they did kind of like the mag lock stuff on your phone.
Yeah.
And then they let you into this dome, and like it was interesting because like once you run in and people are filing in and stuff, you were like, okay, cool, let me just, and then you like try to go to check your phone, and you realize you're like, oh,
yeah.
So now I'm in a position where like I have to
talk.
I have to, you know what I mean? Yeah, I have to talk, or I'm just like awkwardly staring at, you know what I mean? It's like there's
it's
nothing.
also weird, like you can't, unless you have a watch, you can't tell the time either.
You
like,
can't,
you
bro.
don't know how long time has been.
And that's,
I remember when we went to see Jack White, and it was that thing we had to like lock our phones. It was like, what time do you think it is? Like, you think it's 9
we were
yet?
like, it's like 9.
Has it been 15
minutes? Do you think he's going to be on soon?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of like that stuff.
I like it too.
Because when we just end up talking, you know, it's
love
like,
that.
I love those
that.
kind of events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I went to a party. I think we had talked about it on the podcast. I went to a party at a famous person's house, and we were made to lock our phones up. Because it was like, you know, one of those things. You can't have your phone.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of the people were allowed to have their phones, but we weren't. And I was like, that's cool.
Sure.
Fun. It was cool. It made me really be in the moment and stuff.
Where's
like
that? Is there talking?
Huh?
Yeah,
it's Ryan.
Is that out there?
Yeah, are you hearing it in the mic?
Yeah.
You want to go tell Ryan to shut the fuck up?
Tell him to shut up. Wait, hang on.
Yeah, all right, we'll take a quick break.
Okay, wait, hang on, everybody. It's okay. I'm gonna be right back.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
Wyatt's gonna go yell at his roommate. This is going great, I think.
Yeah, man.
So far, so good.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this, and like you guys are getting me to. I don't really have too many moments where like I fan out, but like I just like, you know, I'm really.
You're not fanning out over us. What are you talking about?
No, I mean just like whether it's like the Donald stuff, but like, you know, I'm just really. I really do enjoy. Like I love this shit for real. Like and I have like a deep appreciation for like high level thought processes.
Oh
and
yeah.
Like
I know.
And I think that's like where I'm like, yes, I want people to feel like, oh yeah, Greg just made this, and like we can go levels into the Reddit. Like
right. Keep talking.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Ryan's like yelling in the background.
Right. Yeah. It's all love. You know.
Yo, can you guys just keep it down for like another 15 minutes? I'm sorry, thank you.
Man, handled and mitigated like a boss. Like,
yeah, do you guys just mind shutting the fuck up for 2 minutes?
Man,
keep it in, bro. I want them to feel the shame.
Yeah, no, we're gonna keep it in.
So. I definitely didn't say that. So yeah, with the idea of like creating a planet so dense where people are like definitely interested in fighting for the like to decipher these lyrics over Reddit comments, like or a Reddit subthread, like having that level of depth where people can get lost if they want, and then if they want to just like chill to it, that's cool. If it's on some sync shit, like where it's just in the background, it's creating an ambiance, like creating levels of, you know, records and music and experiences that have dimension, you know, and can exist in multiple pockets, you know, like I always made the joke of like, yo, the minute the fitness community finds out like this like GREGNWMN, like Now We Mirror Nature shit
Jesus
exists,
Christ.
it's fucking, I'll meet y'all on Mars. Like,
like lifting to your shit has got, I
with.
don't know why I haven't thought to do that once, but like I bet I could set a PR or two to Solar Flare.
Bro, I mean, if you're really trying to like, you know, impress your significant other,
what do you listen?
Like,
what do you listen to when you lift? When we work
man,
out?
I definitely I'll say like I like listening to like newer stuff as well, but like I like usually when newer things release, like I've been running that like Push Jay-Z Pharrell thing that like just dropped. Like I'm really excited for like Push's album, and like we'll see where that goes. But I'm just like when newer things kind of stick out to me, then I kind of run those. But I'll say, especially because growing up, I wasn't necessarily like introduced to like hip hop in a conventional sense. I mean, my parents are like immigrants, you know, like my dad was born in England, you know,
Okay.
and then my mom was born in Kingston, Jamaica. So it's just like,
Wow.
you know, I was born in New York. So it's like being of that ilk, it's like they're not, you know, they're not with the
Pop culture,
shenanigans.
kind of.
Yeah, they're not with
The
they're not with like it's not hamburgers and hot dogs at home. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like it's not American. You know, so
Yeah.
from there, it's like I'm not listening to American stuff, or like if I am, it's like you know,
How interesting.
yeah, it's like Mary J. Blige, or like it's like very like easy R&B stuff. It's not anything too crazy, but a lot of it is like reggae stuff. Like my dad's heavy like into calypso and soca, and like just a lot of like different things like that. So, you know, from there, I kind of discovered it on my own. But it was like initially, I think, man, it might have been through bus rides to school. Like my bus had like a radio, you know, and the
Yeah.
radio was like playing on the surround sound, and they'd be like Gold Digger or something, you
Sure.
know, and it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah, and like
or-
kids you go to school with probably like showed you.
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
too. Like, yeah.
yeah, for sure. And I was definitely the kid with like the, you know, I'm definitely like dating myself, but it's like I was definitely the kid with like the CD player, you know, like the
Hell
Casio
yeah.
CD player
Let's
with like
go.
a CD that I burned based on
Yeah.
like, you know, like records I listened to. Like I'm a video game kid, so
That's
like
actually how I listened to camp, was on like a Burn CD.
really,
Yeah.
So like it's just like bro, like in the bus, like sitting on like the seat with the wheel well, you know, and like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
because no one fucks with that
yeah,
seat.
because no one fucks with that
Yes.
seat, and you're the only person that can sit on that seat.
Yeah,
and
I
you're,
used to do that
your
too.
backpack's on your lap, and you're just like sitting, and every time you go over a bump,
Seats taken.
yeah,
Can't
exactly,
sit here.
right, yeah, it's like every time you go over a bump, the CD skips, and it's just like it was just like a really unique time. But I'm learning through music through video games, like Need for Speed Most Wanted,
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
that's how I did. I learned a lot
Bro.
of music through video games.
Bro,
Yeah,
it's like
crazy.
that was kind of my first introduction to a lot of stuff, and like even you know even with like anime and stuff, like
Yeah.
through intros and outros, I was like, yo, these I don't understand these lyrics in full, but like I like these
Yeah.
sounds,
Yeah,
you know.
definitely.
And that got me into like some 41, bro, Coheed and Cambria, bro, like
Yeah.
like fucking 3 Days Grace, bro. I was listening to
Damn.
all this other crazy shit, and like
Damn.
and being like, yo, this is so like raw,
Yeah.
you know, that I was like, I haven't heard anything like this. And then like getting into that, then it was like the Linkin Park Jay-Z shit, and then I was like, oh wait, Jay-Z, like da da da, like let me figure out, and then I'm going and doing all that like that research and that reverse work of like, oh, this is New York, like
Yeah.
going back and doing all that,
How
and then
interesting to
and then-
find that you're like that your relationship with hip hop is very like studious. Like you had to come by it through studying and learning about it rather than it just being like a part of like growing up.
yeah, it's interesting because I mean, and without like the shameless plug of like, you know, having, you know, another Donald situation, but like there was a quote that he had where he was like, you know, being a nerd of something is just like being interested in something that takes work to like.
Yeah.
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
that's
Like,
true.
and that's and you don't get to Kendrick level without being like a linguistics nerd. You
A
just
student,
you
yeah.
just you just don't. You just I mean, just to have the sheer directory of words to create that dynamism where things don't feel trite and like overused
Yeah, yeah.
over the scope of like what 8 albums, 6 albums, like let alone Jay-Z, let alone
I feel
all
like
the
his
other-
next shit's gonna be crazy.
bro. I mean, come on, like it's just and it's great because we're leaning on the aspect of like scarcity being so underappraised because
Yeah.
everything is so in your face, and you just know like you know when your favorite artist is cutting a papaya now, and it's just like I would
Right.
much rather listen to your high fidelity, life-changing, socially like warping perspective on the way that, you know, maybe, you know, you being homeless like made you feel, or like
Yeah.
this very traumatic thing, or maybe this very beautiful thing that happened in your life.
Yeah.
I love to have you take the time to disappear and synthesize this,
Mhm.
you know, properly. And I think that's why also I'm very like selective over my time, and I'm very selective with my energy, because it's like I don't, based upon everything I'm doing, whether it's like the list stuff or everything I'm like tasking myself with,
Yeah.
my main focus is like, all right, bro, don't spread yourself too thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be spread too thin. So like, yeah, I say all that to say that like my upbringing was very like, yo, what is that? Try to find it. You know,
Yeah.
hop on LimeWire. Like
LimeWire,
run,
yeah.
run it like just chopping up my home computer with
Yeah.
viruses.
It's not surprising.
You know, and
It's not if you're a very inquisitive person, and I
Bro.
feel like you're always interested in learning about something new.
bro, finding overnight celebrity and being like, oh shit, like, and then finding Twista and then finding Common and then finding Consequence and finding like all these other people, and I'm like, yo, this is insane. Finding Lupe, finding all these other people, and it's like,
Right.
and it's like those situations have like evolved and grown to like I was in the South when Go DJ dropped, and it was like I was living in Texas, like, and it's just like all like 3 6 Mafia shit, and like being in the South, like Paul Wall sitting sideways, being in the South, like it was insane to like see all these artists just pop, like Bun B and all sorts of other shit, like seeing all these artists pop out and do like international players anthem, like fucking Outkast, like
Right.
all this other shit, like UGK shit. So it's like
Big.
bro, with all that,
Huge.
I was just like, I was such a, like, again, like a student when it came to that, and I was like, there's just so much out there that I had never known, and it really got me into stories, because the thing is, I had such a like kind of like a strict upbringing that like video games enabled me to like kind of get into my own head and like build stories. Like I read the Halo books, like because
So did I, bro.
No way.
Go ahead.
Hey.
Go ahead and turn.
Yeah,
right
I
behind
got
you.
one of them in that bookshelf
No
right
way.
there. Yeah, bro. I was all about that shit.
Yeah, like I really,
It's a great story.
bro, I really.
Great story.
Oh yeah, we're down here. Damn, bro.
Yeah, the
And it's-
Halo lore evidently is pretty good.
Man, and it's like for me, I think that's where like a lot of the origin story of like how songs and how the brand is being built out is really based off of that source domain. It's really based off of like, we could have just made a video game where you're just like 360 no scoping people. You can throw in a montage and then throw like, 9-inch nails over it, and just like it'd be really dope. And it's just like a bunch of these like no scope snipes across the map, like type shit. You know what I mean? On narrows, like it's just like it could be that, or it could be like you can actually create an album that's like textured and has like very interesting nuances to it, and things that maybe people are never meant to find, but that one person who really, really is invested in your story and like really invested in knowing every attribute, who
listen value,
bro, like who was just like, yo, this is like my main focus is like, how can I be the Donald for somebody else?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how could I, like, there's a video out there somewhere where I was rapping very poorly over Yonkers, bro. Like, just and it was insane. Like, it was
how bad it is.
Yeah, it was insane. How bad it is, and it
Yeah.
was also insane of like this was another one of like those kids that were just so left from like what normal kids who look like that were doing.
Yeah.
And I think from there it was just like, okay, we have amazing examples and amazing refs of people being unapologetic. How can I move the needle in a certain way that's not, I guess, just kind of played, or like, again, like the whole like PBS Kids motivational kind of thing. Like, how can I add my own element of grit to it?
Yeah.
And like, I like to think of like, at least my like music, as like having not only that high fidelity experience, but like it's on some like punk fucking. It's like it's
grit too.
It's like punk fucking like
dope.
kick people in the fucking chest. Like, we're like, if there's any like mantra like to the music, it's like, we're done asking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we like everybody else had asked.
Yeah.
You're like, we're not asking you. Like, we're telling you that we're here to stay, and
That's how it
we have
is.
some shit
Yeah.
to say, and we have a story. And I think that's like what I want to convey, definitely to the like people who are tapping in and like listening. It's like, yo, if you listen to Greg Newman, like you're done asking. You're here to claim your space.
Right.
And like, not destroy things to claim your space, but you're not submitting either.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not submission music. It's not like, oh, we're just gonna,
I don't know.
like play our role. It's like, yo, fuck playing this role. Go write your own screenplay and build out your own role.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, and that's just like, just if you have to, just disappear, make it happen, and then come back, and then just like really remind people, what the ramifications are of like being leveled with or being downplayed. Because again, everyone's gonna try to level you until they realize they're like, oh, I can't.
Until they can't reach that high.
Bro, yeah, they like once they realize that you're not going to stop.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to just like be in front of something that like this, like, we keep pushing, and this is just not, like, we've been up all day and all night and all day and all night, and we just don't even have the resources or the bandwidth to engage this and just overwhelm like people's sensory emotions,
Yeah.
So it's like, whether it's like with podcast level conversational stuff, again, with shows, with just the branding, with just the gram, I need to get way better with TikTok, but it's just a matter of like,
Yeah.
it's a matter of like getting the right visuals. So where it's like, because my thing is like diversification, and this is a conversation that, again, I have on like with Carter on a regular basis. Is like, you know, he's definitely like, bro, everything that you've put together is like it goes like you
Yeah.
can, so if you just go, you might be surprised at how great you're able to come up with things that are like quick and dirty and I'm like, yeah, I agree. I just want it to feel right.
Yeah.
So if
you're very organized.
and I think, and
you know.
I try not to have that slow me down, but I appreciate that. It's just like,
Well, it just feels more comfortable to you. It's like a way
Right,
that you can
yeah.
present yourself and know that you can hold yourself accountable.
yeah,
Like we've been talking about all night, where
yeah.
it's productive and you know you're gonna stay engaged. But it's also a way, I think, for you to keep on your brand, which, as Wyatt and I have separately felt that you've done very effectively.
Thank you. I appreciate both of y'all, and even like for the consideration for this, because like
Like
my-
no decision. It was just like
yeah, it was easy.
yeah,
yeah,
Like, okay, Greg.
and I appreciate that. Like it's just like I think we have 100 years to like break like maximum fucking necks, bro.
Yeah,
Like we just have to like we just have to go so crazy and so hard like in these 100 years so that, you know, we can leave something behind that's like, oh yeah, I 51% produced in this world and 49% consumed. That 2% variance means something. If everybody in the world had that 2% variance, this world would be a way different place than it is. But I think we're in this like consumption over production ethos
It's an interesting thought.
mindset where it's just like, I don't mind absorbing and being around and just being around people just for the sake of being around. But it's like, bro, how many people around you inspire you to do shit that are like uncharacteristic? Like, do what
Yeah.
you always done, get what you always got type shit. Like,
Yeah.
people will be sad and people will be upset kind of like with their lifestyle. And it's like, but you're doing the same thing every day.
Yeah.
You know, and it's okay. I mean, I think we should all be gentle and handle each other like with grace and like discernment and things like that. But it's like, I'm not interested in telling somebody what they need to do. I'm not interested in like life coaching. I'm not interested in like being like, to be honest, and this is like as gentle as I could say, like I'm not interested in like really holding anybody's hand with this
Yeah.
shit.
Right.
It's more of like the only thing I'm interested in. I was like, okay, that doesn't work because I tried it. Like I've tried it. You know, I've been
Yeah.
the person that people like go to have the long-winded, deep conversations of like X, Y, and Z. Like, you know, and I don't want to be in a position where I like disrespect anybody, whatever the case is. But it's like I do feel as though the most effective way, and it might be the way that people might not want you to engage, but like the most effective way that I can inspire somebody is just living it. And
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
do it, it's like a dog whistle. It's like only the people who are the people who are ready to push off the dock and set sail are the ones who will pick up what you're doing. You know,
Right.
the people who are too still kind of deep in like their self-development and things like that, it might take them some time to get to that point. But I think everybody gets to the point where they're like, this is where I want to go, and like this is who I want to be, and this and that. I'm not even sure 100% what the results of what I'm doing is gonna be. I'm just feeling my way through a dark room.
That's all you can
Like,
do too. It's like that's not.
It's funny.
It's not for you to know, really. You just gotta keep. You just go and you push through. Like nobody knows. Nobody has like a crystal ball.
January
Like,
1st, bro. January 1st, bro. I'm like, this is what's gonna happen. This is the plan. Like and like doing the normal like annoying Greg thing, right? And it's like, okay, this is the plan. This is where I map out Q1 to B, whatever the case is.
Sure.
And then it's like 2 weeks into January. You know, I get hit up to open at the observatory for the sold out shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like I couldn't have even planned that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it was
The best shit's unplanned.
bro.
just gotta roll with it,
just
yeah.
happened. It just happened. And then 2.5 weeks later, I was in Denver on some Web3 shit,
But like you said, the more preparation you do, the luckier you get.
bro. And it's preventative maintenance. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Because then, like, yeah. So 2.5 weeks after that, I was in Denver on some Web3 stuff, and then like got hired to a Web3 company, and then was working with them, developing with them, and
I
then
have to have you back on to just talk about Web3.
Bro,
I don't think we have enough
yeah.
time. That's a
No.
whole.
yeah, it's a completely different.
That's a
and-
whole
and-
other
and
3-hour
I'm-
conversation.
And I'm more than happy to touch on that for sure. And the 3.5 weeks later, I was in Austin, bro.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It's
So
playing South by.
I didn't plan any of those things, and I
Yeah.
looked at my watch and I was like, yo.
Yes.
Like this
3
is,
weeks.
you know, this is completely outside of the scope of what I'd ever even really kind of dreamed. But it showed me that like, yo, in those darker moments where you feel like you should stop or slow down or whatever the case is, like Like this is incentive. I'm very energetically sensitive as of late. Where I see small things and I take small things as signs to like keep going, or signs to like dig deeper, or signs to like try to do better. And like from there, I do feel as though like as of late I've been constantly reminded like, bro, yes, people think they can just do what you do, but you know what you. Let me put it this way: if someone doesn't know your ceiling, like how could, or if you don't know your ceiling, how could someone else know your ceiling?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like, bro, you've done things that you had never thought that you ever could ever do.
Yeah.
You know, and like you've pulled out and you have written verses and done certain things and linked up with certain people and got the nod from certain people that you never expected to meet, period.
Yeah.
You know, and doing it casually too, like taking conscious efforts and turning them into like heartbeats, like unconscious. They're working on their own kind of efforts, you know, and like taking all those different aspects has really like changed my world perspective of like, let me just be as present as possible. Let me handle with people with as much grace and discernment as possible. Let me handle myself with as much grace and discernment as possible, because I am only one person and I'm doing my best. If I can do this shit and I have to like shit on people or like try to cut the line or do whatever the case is, like then I'm gonna try, and because it's sustainable. Because when you get to where you need to get to, people are like, oh yeah, no, he's solid,
right,
or she's solid, or they're solid. Like, so that's kind of my piece. I mean, I'm long winded, but that's on brand. You know, if you know.
No, bro.
No, you're spitting the wisdom.
Beautiful
I love it.
words.
I love it.
Beautiful words by our lovely friend GREGNWMN.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to
Dude, of course. Yeah, thanks for being here. We probably wrap it up
now. What the fuck?
I don't think it's 2 hours. I don't think it's 2 hours. I think it's 1 hour.
Why?
Because I think it starts with a 1. I think when you started, there's a 1 there.
Are you sure?
Yeah, there's no way we do. What time is it? 11:30?
Dude, I think it's a 2-hour podcast.
Damn, bro, we might have broken the record of time.
This is it. I think. No, it definitely is. Yeah. Wow. Leave it to Greg.
Wow, oh no!
Congratulations.
Leave it to Greg. I blacked out. Did we just recorded a podcast?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it flew by. Time flew by.
Wow,
that's crazy. Yeah. No, this was like a really fun time, and I really enjoyed.
It's a blast, dude. It's so much fun.
I really enjoyed this, man. I appreciate y'all letting me like stretch my legs on this. Like,
dude, thank you.
Yeah, honestly, thank you for coming on.
Such a very smart dude.
Thank you, man.
Nice to hear you talk. Yeah,
an honor and a privilege, my friend.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, and
GREGNWMN.
Yeah, what's your Instagram?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. No, you want to.
It's usually kind of my thing.
Yeah, Maddie, you want to set that up? What's up? What's up?
GREGNWMN, philosopher, musician, friend, lover. You can find him on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok? ?
Yeah.
Are they all the same handle?
Yeah, bro. Come on now.
And that same handle is spelled as follows, Greg.
Right. Yeah. So it's GREGNWMN, one word.
Yes.
Right. So people like to space it out. People like to, add their own little
all lowercase
flair. It's actually all. So yeah, it is all lowercase on socials, right?
So it's just Greg, GREG.
Yeah.
NWMN.
Yeah, and it's pronounced GREGNWMN.
GREGNWMN.
Yeah, which is like my actual that's how you pronounce my like government name. So it's still phonetically like GREGNWMN.
Fantastic.
But it's just like that's the artist, GREGNWMN.
And it's the same on Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff.
I mean, bro, come on.
No, I know. I just want to make sure we're getting it right.
Oh no, it's me. It's me. It is the same way. If you type
everything's got to have a through line.
Yes. For sure. No, we really like step 1. We're like, okay, let's Google metadata. Let's see what this looks like. But like and it's like, bro, you're a rapper. You shouldn't be. I'm like, no, I gotta know about that. I gotta know about that. I have to see what's going on with these hashtags.
SEO,
like, oh fuck,
bro. I really had to get into like the Google AdWords. I have like annoying like fingers everywhere. So
I forgot we missed a key element of the podcast, is which we need a sponsor.
GREGNWMN everywhere. So yeah,
who's our sponsor for we want to do? You're a very fit guy, ladies and gentlemen. This podcast is brought to you by Gold Standard 100% whey protein. You can use code SWELLS at checkout. Get that pump on. Get those calories in. Get your gallon of water in.
Yeah, for sure. This podcast, this podcast has been sponsored by Pellegrino. Shout out to Pellegrino.
Yeah. There it is.
I mean, we haven't been to Sicily, you know what I mean? But we definitely, we'll see.
We'll be in Sicily one day.
If Wyatt has anything to say about it, it'll be in Sicily.
I'm not from Sicily. I'm from Italy.
Isn't Sicily in Italy?
Nah, 2 different places.
Interesting.
On
Well,
that note,
this is geography podcast.
Interesting. No, I like that. I definitely.
I don't know anything about anything, bro.
No, that's great for sure. Because I
It's
mean, you're
not great.
successfully running a podcast, so I think we should pat ourselves on the back.
I don't know.
How have you managed to not know anything about anything and then get 8 episodes in, bro?
yeah.
Anyway, it's Greg
I
Newman
started
everywhere.
off so strong.
Bro, you started off so strong and you just let that shit. I was trying to recover for you too. Like I was like, okay, I got this.
We'll cut that.
I couldn't catch it. But yeah, so it's Greg Newman everywhere. GREGNWMN. A lot of great stuff on the way. A lot of interesting ideas, a lot of experimentation. Honestly, I can't say that it's all gonna be as effective as I can see it in my mind, but I'm still gonna fucking try. So that's kind of like the mantra. But the last 4 of my name and the NWMN stand for like really kind of my why. Is like now we mirror nature.
There you go.
And it's like we just reflect the environments that we're in socially, psychologically, emotionally, and we refract those components back on to other environments that we kind of inhabit, right? And so this kind of exchange has been silently going hand in hand, between human beings, but also on an environmental level, So I definitely think Now We Mirror Nature is going to expand from not only just like a musical component to also like philanthropic. Like I love to blend like audio-based things with like how we actually creating utility with the music and like helping like and partnering with NGOs and things like that to actually help the world. So some of these streams can maybe help filter out literal streams.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
I'm gonna put a period on that.
Wow.
There we go, dude. Greg, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys' time. This is great.
Thank you everybody for tuning in.
We'll see you next time.